welcome to hand review video. There's a few hands posted on the Discord channel, so let's review them. And first one is SL something. I would call you just SA, because that's easier name. First hand, let's see what happens in the hand. Let's start from the beginning. There's UTG open 5-handed. Everyone folds, call from the big blind, flopping the wrap, and leading for half a pot. There comes the raise, and re-raise. Opponent just calls. Turn is completing 7-9, 5-7, shove, call, and that's about it. So, the question here, first one is pre-flop is borderline call, and Esa thinks that folding against early position is fine. It is close, but let's see from the marker 5-handed. If there's UTG open, everyone folds. Then Queen Jack 9-9 suited Queen Jack is a call. It's minus 1.5 small blinds, so it's very break-even, but this is with PLO 50 rate, 50% rate back. So it is true that it's very borderline if opponent plays perfect post flop. That's the thing. Versus solver, it's marginal. It's still plus EV, but marginal. In reality, PNB most likely isn't playing perfect post flop, so in my mind, it's clear call. And then you flop the wrap. And now comes the part, just this week was released a video about leading and check raising. Might want to check that one out. The question for Esa is, why does he lead here? And then there's some discussion about if we're looking at what types of hands opponent is open from early position. Esa supposes that his range hits this kind of board harder than his. It's true in some way. I would say that if the board was 9-7-3, it would hit even more. But UTG still should have a lot of hands with that has 9+ rundowns. But yeah, you're the one who should hit these a lot harder. You have more sets, more two pairs, more combo draws. So yeah, you could lead. The problem is that this board offers so many draws that it's hard for opponent to completely miss it. So I would check call or check raise with these kind of hands. If you had a flop blocker, check raising would be nice. With this kind of 13 out of or 12 out of wrap, because you have a pocket pair, 12 out of wrap, and clubs are not good out for you, then check calling is also fine. You definitely have odds to do that. But you eat half a pot. The problem is that the sizing is a bit weird in my opinion, because the board is very draw heavy. And when the board is dangerous or it changes often on the turn, we should use bigger sizings. So I think if we want to lead, then go definitely bigger. Half a pot is like, would you lead half a pot with set of tens? And an opponent raises, which probably is overpair with flush draw, would make sense. Could have set of tens, naked set. But most often this is overpair with flush draw or Jack 9 with flush draw. And versus that range it becomes a bit problematic, because he should have the flush draw very often. And then that leaves you with around 8 outs. And 8 outs, you're going to hit 1 out of 5.5 times. So to invest 120, you would need to win €6 in total. And after your call, the pot is, if you call, the pot is 370. So you need almost a pot size as value. So I would just fold here. You don't have the odds. Well, then you raise, and now comes the weird part. Opponent shouldn't have a calling hand unless he has Jack 9 with clubs and he puts you on a set. or he has 5-7, which is a bit weirder hand. And I wouldn't shove the river, or actually, could you shove for value if he has the wrap? I don't think you have fold equity, that's for sure. You shouldn't have fold equity. When he calls your raise, and now he just can't fold because he needs 22%. So even with naked flush draw, he probably has equity versus your range. And he does call, and he had 10-8 with turn flush draw. And on the flop, you were actually doing decently. Yeah, 41, but still crushed, and that's probably one of the... I mean, if he has a set or two pairs without clubs, that's the only range you can call versus. And even versus that, you have that 8 clean outs. So I would just fold flop. Second is Jack 10-7-9, 3-handed, open, 3-bet call, flopping monster draw. Well, now the question is, why do we want to raise? If you call, it's SPR1. So the main question is, what is his range? Is he ace happy or not? And pre-flop, SS says that it's a borderline call. I mean, if your hand was rainbow kings, it would be borderline call. And you shouldn't fold here anything but the crappiest of the crap, like trip hands or rainbow 9-9 5-2s. The hands that you're just stealing from the bottom 10% or so. And this is, like, if he has aces, you have one of the premium ones. So the pre-flop call is far from borderline. And pre-flop helper says you should fold. And that sounds a bit weird, in my opinion. So let's see, we put... And then what do we have? Jack 10-7-9. Jack 10-9-7. No, it's 0% fold. Even rainbow, it's a call. Double suited, it becomes a 4-bet in solver strategy. So your suited to Jack 7 is clear call. So I don't know what pre-flop helper you have checked or what positions, but 3-handed, this is definitely call from button. There's no doubt. Alright, then on the flop he needs full pot. If his range is ace-ace, you increase your EV by calling. Because let's give Wesley pocket aces. And then he bets. So if we want to stack off, it's plus EV because we could even be, or we are probably small favorite. We are small favorite versus set. So EV of shove is actually we are 45 versus aces. Oh yeah, because he has aces with diamonds sometimes. So the EV of a shove is 1.7 BBs, and we can do a couple of calculations to see if the number changes. Okay, it's around slightly less than 2 BBs. And if we just call and see the flop turn, and we fold any pair in turn, then the EV of calling and shoving on the turn, if it's blank, or he's going to shove blank one, the EV of peel and stack off, now it takes some time, it's a heavier calculation. It's 5 times, 6 times more. Because the thing is that you need to hit something. Problem is that if he has ace X, like ace king 10 type of hands, and you call and fold the turn, you might fold too much equity. So if you're sure that if you're sure that he has aces, then call. If you are unsure, then just shove it. And he had ace jack 9, which was one of the hands that was actually had you in a bad shape. But shows that he has more than aces, and three-handed he should have more than aces, so shoving flop is totally fine. And there's a lot of calculations on your Discord putting him on range. I wouldn't make it too complicated, because if you call in SPR1, the thing is that you definitely can't fold. You have insane wrap, 17 outer or so, with the turn at flush draw. So there's no way you can fold it, so it's about calling or shoving. And then, if you call, you're calling to fold the turn. And the question is, can you fold any turn? You have to be sure that he has aces, so if the board pairs, you can fold. But if he doesn't have aces, he has ace-high hands, you can't fold turns. So then just shove. Then we have to change something. Okay, what do we have here? Pre-flop open, 3-bet. Yeah, we can check. Do we want to 3-bet that one? So on the small blind with ace jack 10 9. Yeah, 89% 3-bet. So rainbow, and with 3 or 4 of the same suit, it's not. So it's a very clear 3-bet. And Izel decides to call. Flop, Eze checks because he wants to see the turn. Now, the question is, how does this change from the previous hand? Of course, now this board favors you more than in the previous hand where you let half a pot. So, if on the previous hand leading half a pot because the board favors you a little, is a justification now when the board favors you even more. Because 3-better, you have way more Broadway cards than the buttons with calling range. And now you don't lead, or actually c-bet. So, I don't think that's consistent. Because if he doesn't have a strong hand, he's going to check. But you could bet and he could even fold. But if he hits the board, he's going to bet, and you still have to pay to see the turn. And check calling, you have to hit something to win the pot. So yeah, you have a lot of outs. You have 13 on a wrapper, middle pair, and a backdoor flush draw. So when you have the 10 in 3-bet pot, it takes away a lot of his 2-pair outs. Because you're blocking queen then and then 5. So I would just lead here and most likely just put here, maximize fold equity. Because if he raises, you just get it in. Now he bets big. And now we are in a problem that we definitely have odds to call. And then we pick up even more outs. And now we have around 20 outs or so. And then weird thing happens. You fold. And you calculate yourself that you have 42% equity. Well, to pot size bet you need 33%. So if you calculate that you have 42, why would you fold? So you probably realize that folding is very weak here. And then Eze says on Discord that he thinks with 42% equity he wants to shove. No. I would shove if I would think that the pair of 10s sometimes wins at showdown, but you have to hit something. He has 149, he's not folding any river. So let's say he has, what would be the hand that he just calls preflop and you're going to give him ace or some. Whoa, no, he doesn't have aces because he just called preflop. So let's say that he opens 50% and then he would definitely 4-bet aces. On the flop he bets. So let's say that he has queen 10 plus. Let's be tied ones. So he has queen, top 2 pairs or sets. And versus that range, you have 35%. Because you're giving him some kind of queen with a flush draw. I don't think he would go crazy on the turn with just the top pair and ace king jack or rainbow wraps. I think he needs to have the flush draw with that, so your range is a bit too wide. But let's assume he has a made hand, so we need to hit something to win. Alright? So, if we shove... No, this is peel and stack up, sorry. Well, we can do this one first. And now it's stuck. Nothing happens. Someone killed my poker juice. Oh, it's live. So peel and stack off means we call, and then we have 150 behind. And if the river is 7 of spades, we fold. So we call to fold the rivers we miss, instead of stacking off on the turn. And I don't know why it takes so long. There aren't that many rivers to calculate. Well, we have time. We can wait. The idea is that, as a concept, if you call, opponent cannot fold any rivers because he has 150 behind. I mean, he's never folding any made hand on the river. So opponent cannot fold any rivers, but you can. If you shove any river and he calls any river, the overall outcome is the same as you would shove the turn. But if there's even one river card that you can fold, and he doesn't, your EV is higher by just calling the turn. And it's 1.14 if we shove EV of a shove is just break even. And that's with 35% equity. So you can see that calling increases the EV a lot because we save 15 BBs when we miss the river. So the difference is over 10 BBs, 11 BBs, whether we call and shove river or shove here. And that is a huge thing. So if any one of you thinks that shoving here is okay, I recommend to reconsider and explain to me why shoving is better than calling. Because calling has way higher EV. Alright, then we move on to Doverhas hand. Man, you guys should have easier nicknames. Alright, medium rundown. Button opens. And here, hero decides to 3-bet. Well, let's first see what the Monker does. And it's 9875. 9875 3-bets only 3.7% times and calls only 8%. Now, Solver small blind strategy is super tight. Like in overall, 3-bets 10%, calls 5%, folds 85. It's a bit too tight because opponents are not playing perfect. But double suited, this is call. And if it's suited to 8 and 9, then it's 3-bet, but these are very similar hands actually. So, and no double suitedness is, there's some couple of callers. So it's a mixed strategy. I would say that it depends also on the opponent. What do you do? So it's fine to 3-bet, especially if opponent is tighter one, who folds a bit more pre-flop, folds a bit more post-flop. If he's a very loose one, I wouldn't 3-bet these, because these medium rundowns have huge domination issues post-flop. Their flush draws are dominated very often when the money goes in. Your 2 pairs are dominated. Everything is dominated. And then you hit the ace high flop with the flush draw and pair SPR5. You need to bet, and you need to bet big. And when you 3-bet and the board is ace high, you're the one who's crossing the board. So I would say that your betting frequency with your whole range should be really, really high. And if we don't just look at your actual hand, but we think how often your range should see bet here, then in reality it should be very close to 100. And with this hand, I would just put and get it in. If he has lone ace, you have decent equity. If he has higher made hand, higher flush draw, then it sucks. But that's what you get with this hand. With this hand, you always get 7 high flop draw. It doesn't get bigger in any way. So this is where I put you have massive fold equity. I don't think I would never bet fold. Or if you're going to bet fold, then the sizing is fine. But I would just put and force him to fold almost anything. Then the turn really sucks. Just check. And on the river, game theory-wise, you could bet small. But the problem is that if he has ace, he's never folding that if you bet small. And when you cross the flop, you're blocking the flush draw and you are not blocking any ace or king. So he most often has ace or king in his hand. He doesn't have queen jack then. So I would just check because his range is too strong on the river. And he calls and he had queens with the flush draw. Yeah. If he had a queen 10 with the flush draw, which is pretty much the same, or just a queen jack with flush draw, which is the same strength of hands, then those are the hands that you actually might make him fold. But if he has just a queen jack, you're beating him. Oh, you're not, because he has birth queen, sorry. But I think most of his range is too strong here. You're going to get called too often, especially when the king bears the board. If you didn't have the pair, or let's say the turn is a 10 and the 10 pairs the river, then I would bet, because you have massive fold equity versus king X hands. Then we have let's see what we have. We have 3-bet call. Now it's very borderline because you don't have suited ace. Very borderline. So let's say big blind call calls, and what do we have here? Ace, jack, queen 7. Sorry, was away for a while. Ace, queen, jack 7. And we can say that the frequency is to fold 80% of those. And you need a suited ace to continue. And it's suited to jack and 7. So your hand is here. And it's just easy fold. If opponents are playing perfectly, if opponents are bad ones, we have shorty, or EV goes down a little when they are shorties. I would just fold pre-flop. It's tied, but also I think that if you call, it's not horrible. You should be having edge post-flop versus these guys. And then you flop pretty strong, double cut shot, top pair, third nut flush draw. I would be happy to shove here. Yeah, just get it in. Great for you. You hurt my brain. Versus aces, you have odds your blocking aces, which is a great thing. If he has kings with clubs, you have huge equity. And he has flush draws, but when he shoves, it's more likely that he has a made hand. And if there's like two made hands versus your draw, you have the best equity. I mean, let's give him aces and let's give him block tens. And boom, you have 44% equity. Three ways. That's definitely stack off. Definitely. And oh boy, you would have had high equity on the flop. Because they are blocking each other full house, 54%. But versus the ranges, you have equity. That hurts me to see a fold. PLO 30, it seems. Open caller, flopping just the top pair, and opponent donks for pot. I would just fold. Except he's shorty, which I didn't see. So we might wanna reconsider. Yeah, we need 43%. So what could he... not sure what opponent is. There's no information. But most likely he's calling way too wide. Or let's assume that he 3-bets a bit more. So on the flop, you're flipping versus his range, which is bad thing. Because when he needs, he has something. And that's most likely queen plus, and then some kind of 10-9 plus with diamonds type of hands. And now you start to go under 40. So I would just fold. Because if you call, you have to stack off any turn. Unless it's diamond and he shoves. And if he has like two pairs, he could just shove any turn anyway, because the SPR is less than 1. Shoving is a bit marginal. You don't even have the backdoor flush draw to add up that 4% equity. And he had exactly what's in his range. And you were in a bad shape on the flop. Or not bad, but 30%. I wouldn't shove. I mean, when he needs pot short-handed, he is very unbalanced because he doesn't really have bluffs. He has made hands very strong and then those monster draws. And versus that strong range, your overpair is not good enough. Open 4 callers, flopping pretty strong. Not wrap, but 13 on the wrap with the flush draw, with the backdoor flush draw. The question is, how do we want to make the pot big? And here, hero checks because he hopes to get check around 3-way. Yeah, your flush draw is small, but yeah. Checking is fine, and when someone bets, then check raising is definitely a good option. Because when they bet, it's more about made hands. And then you have 4 equity versus some Jack X, even versus 2 pairs. And you're ahead of set. And if everyone checks, it's fine too. So I would probably just raise, because if you call, the pot is 9 and you would have 16 behind SPR 1.5, 1.75, and you're out of position. So if you hit the turn, it's hard to get value. Because you need to lead, he calls, and you have to hope river doesn't pair, you bet he folds very often. And you're ahead of set. So I think this is definitely a good option to raise here. Otherwise you're raising only the nuts here. And you do raise, and he just calls, which is weird line. Well, shove here. If he folds queen then 9, it's good for you. So definitely fold. You're the one who has 4 houses. He doesn't. Or if he has jack 8. But if he has, I mean, you have fold equity versus jack. And you have fold equity versus craps. And so on. So I would just shove here. Now it sucks. And you have to see who wins. Ace 10 versus ace 9, so you win. Yeah. Wow. Well, if he has ace queen, you lose. So I would definitely like to. I would definitely shove the turn. I mean, you make him fold 30% equity here instead of giving a free. And then when we change his hand to ace queen 9, boom, he folds 80% equity, which is awesome for you. So yeah, but interesting hands. I think that if you watch the whole video, then out of this half an hour, if you can pick up one thing, it's when do you want to shove a draw and when you want to call the draw. And the main question then is, if you call, you're calling to fold some of the next three. Like on the turn, you're calling to fold some rivers. And the question is, does opponent, can he fold any rivers? Often when opponent re-raises you on the flop with the set, or raises you on the flop and you put him on the set, and it's SPR less than 1, he's not folding the turn with the set, even if a draw comes. But if the board pairs, you're drawing dead, you can fold. So if you can fold at least one card on the next street, and opponent cannot fold any, and you need to hit something to win the hand, then your EV is massively higher if you just call. Because then you can save money when the board pairs. Or on the turn, you can save money when you miss the river. Opponent can't. So that's very important concept in PLO when we want to increase the win rate, because the impact is huge. But thanks, and if you want to see your hands reviewed, then post those on the forum, on the Discord for the PLO Hands for Review room, and I would appreciate if you send them in text files. Don't copy the text, because Discord use some styling and it changes a little, so just a text file. So in a notepad, copy the text format, put it in notepad, save the text file, and then attach that file to your post on Discord. Then I can easily paste it on PokerJuice and we can go through the hand. Alright, hope you enjoyed. I will see you with the next bunch of hands that we review.